Always wanted. Seat warmer and the seat warmer and the steering wheel thing and yes, I'm going to do one or yeah, I haven't packed up yeah. Right, can we go drive the car around here while it's not raining too much? See ya!
Hey, buddy.
Tommy, yeah, I did call you, but I was just halfway over, so I was.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to E&D Leaders Stadium for the second semi-final of the 2023 Women's State Cup. It's Hyundai NTC versus Perth Soccer Club on a cold and chilly Wednesday night in the West. Thank you for your company here on the Football West Facebook page tonight. We're also on the YouTube channel and as per normal, streamer.com.au. My name's Tommy Dolman. And we're here for the second of our two semi-finals. Winner of this game, of course, will join Murdoch University Melville in September's Cup final, which will be one of the first fixtures to be played at the brand new State Football Centre in Queen's Park. So something really exciting to play for tonight in terms of being one of those first matches at the new venue. Mom FC, of course, booked their passage a few weeks. That was a 1-0 win for them that night at Best Team Stadium. First half goal to Samantha Mathers there, decisive. And I'm sure they'll be watching from afar with a little bit of interest as to who progresses in tonight's match. In terms of your referee, Jason Ladeer is the man in the middle. He'll be assisted by Norm Kovaceski and Austin Vinciguerra. Darius Andres is your fourth official. So both teams in position, referees in their spots as well. Winner moves on in the Cup tonight. NTC unbeaten since their return from Challenge. Perth were also in excellent form prior to the weekend's Red Star defeat. A short turnaround for both since Sunday, but a shot at silverware is something really worth fighting for. So we'll see who comes out on top tonight. Perth will get us started kicking from left to right in this first half, wearing the predominantly blue and white NTC in the yellow and black. And as mentioned before, it's a wet, windy, and quite frankly, miserable night here in Perth. We've had a lot of rain over the past hour, and indeed for most of the afternoon, in fact. So the pitch looks in pretty good nick, all things considered, and we do have a little bit of respite in terms of that wet weather. So whilst cold, hopefully that stays away, and we get a really good game of football between two teams who do like to play the good stuff, but on a night like this, sometimes efficiency is the order of the day. Lincoln will try to wriggle away from a couple of challenges. Does really well, actually. She tried to poke the ball wide for Duncanson. Stepping in was Nellie Johnson. Duncanson was able to win it back, though. Johnson then did well to get goal side, and helping her out there in the middle of the park was Longmore. Now Anderson for Tanika Lala. Coming deep to get an early touch of the ball. Cassidy trying to thread a pass through for Longmore. It's a lovely weighted ball from Cassidy. The sliding challenge was a risky one, particularly in these conditions, but in the end, it was timed well enough. And Perth are able to launch forward on the counter now through Gemma Crane. Loves to run with the ball at her feet. Cassidy stood tall. In fact, it was Anderson, my apologies. She continued her run forward. Johnston was then overlapping on the left. Longmore sliding in on Marshall. All a little bit scrappy. Tanika Lala emerged with the ball, and the shot was sliced off the outside of the boot, and we'll have an early goal kick. So long from Bennett and into touch. Anderson finding the feet of Johnston. Space down this right-hand side for NCC to attack the cross into the area. And the decision ultimately is a corner. I think it was Archibald in there who was trying to make that run to the near post. So in comes the delivery. It's aimed in towards Lala, who gets on the end of it. The strike at goal goes through Bennett and into the back of the net. Tanika Lala gets NTC off to a semi-final stormer here at E&D Leaders Stadium. And the youngsters have an early breakthrough and lead by a goal to nil. So, 4th minute, NTC 1, Perth Soccer Club 0, and Tanika Lala on the score sheets. Recently signed on by the Perth Glory, of course, along with 2 of her teammates tonight in Grace Johnston and Georgia Cassidy. And NTC are off to a very fast start. Meanwhile, Flannery will lay in board for Lincoln. Shot was blocked. Swing and a boot, and it was Godding. Perth looking to hit back straight away. Duncanson's nod down. Godding making the forward run. Cuthbert, though, with a good piece of defending. Clearance only as far as Crane. With a high looping ball, it could have given Bailey some trouble, but the goalkeeper was able to stand under it and claim cleanly. Just about to say, I'm expecting it to be a tough night for both goalkeepers. Not just with the wind and the rain, but also the greasy surface out on the field due to the rain. Anderson for Longmore. Marshall, who picked up a little knock at the weekend in the defeat to Red Star. All good to take her place in tonight's game. Lala working really hard there to try and win the ball back for her team high up. Lincoln trying to make something happen. Cassidy was screening the defence. Now Nellie Johnson. Cassidy again. Switch was looking for Tana. Both players opted to let it run in the end. Her and Emily Henderson. And the net result will be a goal kick. So Perth's magnificent run of form came to an end at the weekend. They were 8 games unbeaten prior to that 4-2 defeat to Red Star at the ECU Joondalup campus. Red Star in that game, 2 goals right in the shadows of half-time, giving them a little bit of that top 4 spot for now as Tana tries her luck from distance. Bennett's able to field that one from range on this occasion. NTC, meanwhile, as mentioned in my introduction, are unbeaten in 2 games since their return from NCC Challenge. A 2-1 win at this ground against Balcatta Etna before a 1-1 draw at the weekend against Murdoch University Melville. As Crane crosses into the box, Bailey threw a glove at it, missed it, Duncanson's volley, and then tracking back, could have gone absolutely anywhere off Cassidy, who was making that bursting run to try and get back on the goal line, and thankfully, for NTC's rear guard, it went wide of the post. So corner will be taken. It's slung in low. Longmore's clearance goes straight back to the taker in Duncanson. Cross came in looking for Godding. And the delivery was a little bit too close to Bailey, who's back in between the sticks after Megan Phillips deputised in goal at the weekend. Hooks will steer into touch. Johnston will take the throw to Johnson. Ball stayed in play initially. NTC will stay on the front foot. Cassidy's ball across, risky one. Flannery, chance to run with the ball at her feet. Anderson on the last line with a firm and fair challenge. Do have plenty of pace and power in that front three still. I'll do the Azuri with Duncanson, Lincoln and Flannery operating across it. Gemma Crane will also join the attack from a deeper position as well. But really, it's been such a long and arduous run for the Azuri. They've had a lot of injuries to contend with. Lala pinched the ball off Marshall. Into the area she goes, and the touch was just a little too heavy, and Bennett was able to come out and smother. But almost a moment of contention there as Perth wanted the free kick, and nothing was forthcoming with Lala winning it back. Striker just made the angle a little bit too difficult for herself, but certainly a lively start from both teams inside the first 10 minutes. Mentioned before, just on NTC, with them being unbeaten in 2 games since coming back from challenge. It's just 1 defeat in 6, either side of their return. And that loss was actually at this ground to Perth by 4 goals to 2. Jess Flannery got a hat-trick that day. Cassidy nudging it forward, looking for Tana. And Henderson's pass then missed her teammate, and Cassidy mopped it up. Now Nellie Johnson. Set Longmore a bit of a task in front of the NTC dugouts. Tana, little ball inside. Lala, Marshall was back with her. Lala still got the shot away, but it was from an acute angle. And Bennett was always favourite guarding that post. Throw taken. Lala helping on. Archibald lurking. Clearance away from Marshall. Lincoln trying to link up with Godding. Now Flannery. The midfield runners are to her left in Crane and Henderson. Crane takes ownership. NTC had the numbers on their side. And the net result is a throw. Cool and calm out of the back from NTC as Longmore helps it inside. Lovely football playing out of the back as Lala, the midfield runner was Collins. Switch of the play might reach Longmore. Marshall will actually get there first. Poppy Hooks. Across for Judy Connolly, who's played more as a midfielder in season 2023, which was her position in the first 2 years of the NPL women's competition when she was with NTC. But last season she did have a year in defence, so given Perth's fluid system and switches that they do like to make in game, Connolly very adept at playing as that ball playing centre half. Cuthbert was able to keep it in play. Anderson's under the pump. She was good enough to get it back to Bailey, though. NTC happy to try and play it out of a tight space. Marshall anticipated it well, though. In fact, she got past two challengers. Cross came in, but just skewed off the outside of the boots. Been a bright start from Ruby Marshall, though, both defensively and going forward. Joondalup City Junior, who's also been part of the NTC setup. Also part of the WA Schoolgirls team, will be playing in the competitions in September in Canberra, along with quite a few of the girls around the league. So just past the quarter of an hour mark, NTC 1, Perth Soccer Club 0. Women's State Cup semi-final number 2 here at E&D Leaders Stadium. An early Tanika Lala goal if you're late to joining us tonight. The difference between the sides so far. Lala trying to link up with Archibald. Lala continued her run. She was able to poke across to Tana. In fact, Lala had committed the foul against Henderson, I think it was. And Perth are keen to get it moving, although it was a little too quick for the referee. He was just checking on one of the NTC players before waving the trainer on. Both teams are just going to use this opportunity to have a little pep talk. A chance for the coaches to perhaps get some messages across of things that they've witnessed in the first 15 minutes, maybe some alterations as a result of some surprises. And Pete Rakic, of course, Perth coach, title with him with Mum FC. As head coach back in 2020, Ben Anderton in the NTC dugout tonight, the longest serving coach in the NPL WA Women's competition. In fact, he's the only one since the NPL began in 2020 that's still the head club of the coach he started at. Really is doing a magnificent job with this group of young players, several of whom have represented the Junior Matildas. As we get started again, Connolly looking to find Marshall wide. Now Ella Lincoln. Cassidy with a little bit of flair. Found Johnson. Move broke down at Archibald. Now Lincoln trying to take on all comers, and she was clipped by one of Collins or Cassidy, take your pick. So Lincoln is over the free kick, lifting it towards that penalty spot. Perth able to win the ball back. Here's Henderson. I mentioned Pete Rakic's title-winning team at Mum FC in 2020. Henderson Last time she played in the NPLW women's competition was in that season for Perth. She's not featured in the past 2 editions, signing only a week or so ago to help Perth with their injury needs. And she's in the starting lineup tonight as well, which is certainly an introduction back into local WA football. Bailey. Cuthbert, now Anderson forward. Lala. Tana making a move forward. She's got plenty of room to run in. She's got 2 teammates to aim for. Godding was getting back. Clearance only as far as Lala, who tiptoed past the challenge. Trying to get a shot away on that left-hand side, and it was a good block from Hooks, who bravely put her body on the line. Cassidy then slid in on Crane. Worked out okay for Johnson, and NTC are able to tidy up. Marshall's clearance was into Archibald, and before Bennett can take the goal kick, she'll have to just wait while the referee goes across to check on Ruby Cuthbert. I think that is over on the far side. Couldn't quite see what happened there, but try and get some clarification on that for you. Either way, she's back on the pitch, and both teams restored to their complements of 11 each. Connolly battling hard. Flannery. Got past one challenge and a second. Still going, Jess Flannery. Left-footed strike. Oh, it took an awkward bounce in front of Bailey, but she was aware to the danger. Certainly a player who possesses that real ability in dribbling the ball as Jess Flannery. Breaking lines, getting past challenges. Really grown into that starting position in Perth's MPLW senior team this season. She's been a real figure head of the under-21 side over the past season and a half prior to getting her opportunity at first-team level due to the injury crisis at Perth. Seven goals this season for the Goldfield striker. But it's the Goldfield striker on the opposition team who's got the game's only goal so far. Tanika Lala's 4th minute goal so far, the only one. As Bailey slings the ball wide for Nellie Johnson. Anderson, Cassidy, now Cuthbert, one of those junior Matildas players. Pass was a little too far ahead of teammate and Johnston, who was making the midfield run. NTC defeating UWA by 6-0, and then Subiaco by 4-2 to get to this stage of the competition tonight. Perth, meanwhile, with a big win over Mandurah City by 11-0 before a real statement win, a 3-1 victory over Perth Red Star in the quarterfinals of the Cup, which actually set them on their fantastic run in the league. A couple of goals for Ella Lincoln that night, and she looks as though she's come off second best in that 50-50 with Anderson. NTC will let the ball run for Lincoln to just be seen to. Certainly not a night for the faint-hearted out there. And Lincoln doesn't want to be moving too freely at all. She's a player who's really stepped up in the past month. Given the absences around her, she's even worn the captain's armband as well in the past few weeks. Got a double at the weekend against Red Star. She looks in a little bit of discomfort as she goes off the other side of the ground. Play will resume without her. And she'll just take a moment or so to regather herself before trying to get back on, no doubt. Flannery was fouled. Perth get a free kick about 40 yards out from goal. Everybody back behind the ball for NTC defending this one. One player in the wall in Lala. And I think Lincoln's just asking whether she can come back on or not. Play will continue without her. Ball's clipped in. Marshall was leaping. Ball could have broken anywhere. It went NTC's way, though, as Longmore looked ahead. Lala just a little off on her first touch, which is rare for her. Last touch off Crane in front of the NTC dugout. Lincoln is now back on the pitch in case you missed it. Lala with a bit of fancy footwork there. Didn't yield any results, though, and Perth were able to get the ball back. Papalia across for Henderson, who's been worked into an awkward position. She was able to win a throw for a team, though, under duress. It's off by Lincoln. A little burst of pace. NTC shirts behind the ball now. Here's Flannery. Flannery with the gloves on tonight. Certainly wishing I'd worn mine. Archibald, Cassidy slipped at the crucial moment. Perth with a big opportunity here as Crane plays in. Ella Lincoln, chance to strike and equalise for the Azzurri. A simple mistake at the back for the youngsters. Somewhat unfortunate, but Crane slips in Lincoln. And it's 1-1 here at E&D Leaders Stadium. So NTC 1, Perth 1. And both teams on the score sheet. NTC looking to strike again with a quick response, but Lala had straight offside. Not a surprise, we've had a couple of goals already, even in this early stage. In the 11 fixtures in the NPL women's era, both teams have scored in 9 of 11 of the matches. And overall, we've seen 38 goals in those 11 games, so around 3.5 a game. Albeit that is in the league, so just emphasises the attacking nature to which these two teams play with. Cassidy slipped again, and Lincoln's able to carry with Johnston for company. Connolly. Now Henderson lost her footing as well. She was able to get to Flannery, though. Flannery, Crane. She had Lala for company. Longmore then tried to thread the eye of a needle. Cassidy again, Archibald, Longmore. Back for Collins. Perth trying to press themselves back into this game. Bailey's clearance. Perth nearly able to profit again. Cuthbert's got a little bit of time to tidy up, though. Johnson. Archibald got it back to the former. Marshall was in the way of the pass. Crane, Godding, Perth trying to get their passes together. Lincoln turning away from Anderson. She's got Flannery ahead from her. The pass is brilliant. Flannery got there. Bailey did a good job. Still might be here for Perth. Bailey is making a nuisance of herself again. And she was able to do enough to get the ball away to safety. Another scary moment at the back for the youngsters. They do play with that dare-do. Hyundai NTC on this occasion, though, it was a great bit of play from Lincoln, and just with the conditions, the pass just skipped that little bit too far ahead. Lincoln again was nudged to the ground by Cassidy. Just get the sense that Perth is starting to warm to the occasion. Settled after that rocky start. Ball forward was seeking the run of Flannery, but Bailey will happily watch that one behind. So a touch over 10 minutes remaining in this first half of what's been a pretty entertaining Women's State Cup semi-final. Hyundai NTC 1, Perth Soccer Club 1. Tanika Lala and Ella Lincoln with the goals in this first half. NTC on the move again. Lala looked inside, saw Archibald. Lala continued her run forward, and Hooks was on the last line. Now, Longmore was able to keep this in play. She's got a bit of time to look up and assess her options. In comes the cross. Hooks missed it. Lala nearly profited, and Henderson was able to clear off Tana, I think it was, on the far side, and Perth get away with a bit of a lucky escape. Almost one of those which just skipped straight onto the boot of Hooks, and luckily for Perth, no one was at the back post to gamble. Cuthbert. Ball outside. Tana was making the run. Hooks was in position A to deal with that, and nothing amounted to the move. Played in the centre of midfield last year for Murdoch University Melville, did Poppy Hooks. Used more in the centre of defence this year. Player who actually was part of the Perth Glory A-League women's squad for half a season a couple of years ago, having been named as an injury replacement. Marshall, Duncanson, little 1-2. Marshall continued her run. Cassidy came over to meet her. Lala, lovely pass, just a little bit too far in front of Tana. Idea was nice though, just trying to slip the right winger in. Henderson's throw. Perth were able to gain a few metres. Last touch off Cuthbert, I think. Flannery, Crane. Layoff just missed. Crane's continuing run. Now Cassidy. Perth back in shape, so NTC have to go backwards and start their forward motion again. Anderson finding the feet of Lala. She was barged into there by Lincoln. Cassidy was quick to get it moving. She played into a Perth player, and I think it's Flannery there who's been shown a yellow card for delaying the restart. Hard to tell on the replay I've got just in front of me, but I think it was Flannery there who took the yellow ticket. Regardless, it'll be a NTC free kick, which will be launched forward by Misha Anderson. Flannery got a head on it. A left-footed ball forward. I think it was from Collins. Easy claim in the end for Bennett. Perth trying to play out from the back here. They do a pretty good job. Lincoln, can she get away from a challenge or two? She almost did. Johnston was tracking her back, though. And Collins looks left and sees Johnson. Little 1-2 between Longmore and Hannah Collins. Longmore trying to make some inroads down the left. And Longmore was penalised for infringing on Judy Connolly's progress in defending. Risky pass across goal. Meanwhile, Lala was able to take it off the toes of the goalkeeper. Luckily, though, for Bennett, Henderson was there in support, and she was able to scramble it away to safety. Archibald back on her feet after going over to try and help her team win the ball. Joined the NTC this season, did Mayor Archibald, previously of Fremantle City. Free kick forward into the area. Hooks heading clear. Collins looks for Tana. Johnston, left-footed shots. Had Bennett scrambling to her right for a moment, but never in any danger, really, of troubling the target. Tana was nearly able to nick that there off the toes of Perth's defence. And players halted, and trainer will be waved on once again for NTC, who's been busy in this first half. We're in the final minute or so of this opening half. It's been a pretty fast-paced one, which you'd expect given the conditions. Both teams have been able to get the ball down and play their passes despite the challenges. Meanwhile, Maya Archibald is back on her feet after going down, and she doesn't look to be moving too freely at all. In fact, she's being helped off the ground, so we'll see what happens in terms of whether she's able to come back onto the pitch. NCC do have their substitutes warming up beneath us. NTC, meanwhile, will play with 10 for the moment. And in fact, fourth official's just put his board up to indicate there'll be another 3 minutes in this first half. Godding looks left, sees Henderson. Lincoln was trying to worry Anderson into a mistake. Defender was able to get away, although her pass went straight to Crane. Cuthbert then with good anticipation to get in front of Flannery. Lincoln once again a little slow to get to her feet. There'll be a couple of players who'll be happy to get to half-time and maybe we'll just heal a couple of wounds they've picked up in the first 45. Ball forward here, meanwhile, gives Flannery something to chase, and she's got pace to burn here up against Anderson, who with a sliding challenge timed to perfection was able to deal with any sort of difficult scenario NTC may have faced. Had an absolutely outstanding first 45 as Misha Anderson. Perth do get a corner from it, though. In comes the delivery. Up in the air it went from Johnston. Connolly, left-footed strike, charged down. Cassidy only partially away. Lincoln, now Papalia. Duncanson, has she stayed on side? She has, but the ball just skips wide. Ball in, over Bailey's head, and in it goes for 2-1. And right on the stroke of half-time, Perth capitalise on having the extra player on the pitch by taking the lead. The NTC players want a flag from the linesman. Nothing's forthcoming. And the Azuri are going to lead at the interval, you'd think. NTC 1, Perth 2. So, Perth's leading scorer in 2023, Jamie Duncanson, has Perth ahead by 2-1, although Johnston was looking to fire one off straight away in response. It must have been a very tight offside. Difficult to tell from where we are with the angle. We'll go and have a little look at that one at half-time, perhaps. NTC still with 10 and still with Archibald waiting to come back on. But they do have a free kick in a good position, and Cassidy, we know what she's capable of from outside the box with a dead ball. It'll be Cassidy who steps up And this time she couldn't work the target, and that'll be the last action of the first half. So NTC took a 4th-minute lead when a corner came in from the right. Tanika Lala was able to spin on a dime and get a shot on target. It went through a sea of bodies in the area before beating Rebecca Bennett, and landing in the back of the net. But as things wore on, Perth were able to get back into the game. They equalised when Cassidy slipped deep in NTC territory. Crane was able to nip in, slip in Ella Lincoln, who ran in to make it 1-1 and continue her run of scoring in every round of the Cup to date. And then late in the first half, Jamie Duncanson stayed on side when a ball through the defence picked her out. The play then unfolded, and eventually she was able to whip the ball over the goalkeeper and into the back of the net, and that gives Perth a 2-1 lead at the break. Exciting game here in the second semi-final of the Women's State Cup. We'll be back shortly with the second period. Welcome back to ENZ Leaders Stadium for the second half of this Women's State Cup semi-final between Hyundai NTC and Perth Soccer Club. Half-time score, NTC 1, Perth 2. The Azuri coming from a goal down to lead at the interval. Goals from Lincoln and Duncanson in response to Tanika Lala's early opener. Bailey, oh, goodness me, miscued the pass, and then Flannery with a toe poke. It was on target, but Bailey was able to get back and dive on the ball, and a little bit of a hairy moment at the back early on for the home team. Perth looking to keep up the pressure. No changes for either team, I don't think, at the interval. I did get a chance to have a look back at that goal late in the first half for Perth, which gave them the lead, and Jamie Duncanson is most certainly onside. So, no controversy about that one. It was a good spot from the official. And Perth in a 2-1 lead as Connolly on the edge of the area trying to make a yard. Support arriving in the form of Henderson. Now Crane. Past one challenge. Foot in there, was able to steer it away from her. Lala trying to launch NTC onto the counter, but Papalia got a foot in. And the clearance was too far away for Henderson to try and get on the end of it. Perth's record on the road this season has been very good. They've lost just one of their games in the league on the road, which is perhaps even more impressive given that they've not played at home since all the way back in round 8 when they lost 3-2 at home to Fremantle City. Of course, Doreen Gardens being used as a training base for the FIFA Women's World Cup, which is on our shores at the moment. 6 wins, 2 draws, and just the 1 loss, which was on Sunday to Perth Red Star. Looking forward to getting back to home comforts this weekend when they host Murdoch University. Melville will Pete Rakic's team as they try and come forward here. Flannery, Crane, inviting Henderson to get forward. Little ball up the line into the channel. It was just past Flannery, who continued to run forward, and it ran through to Bailey nicely. Bailey found Lala. Cuthbert's ball over the top. Johnston's got something to chase. She's goal side here, into the area, and slotting past Bennett to make it 2-2. Grace Johnston, who scored in the league game against Perth when the sides last meet, has struck again. And the NTC again, early footing here in this second period and tied up at 2-2. So Johnston on the score sheet, and it's the 2 glory girls on the board tonight, Lala and Johnston. I said this game usually delivers goals. We've certainly not been disappointed tonight. We've had 13 goals in the last 3 meetings between these 2 teams prior to tonight. Hooks found the feed of Lincoln, who was able to turn away from her marker. Connolly. Flannery tiptoeing inside. Ran into Cassidy, though, who was in good position. In fact, it was Anderson, once again, who was stepping out. Wind just starting to pick up once again here. Henderson, Lala got the better of her into the area. She goes, Bennett's out to smother bravely. Swing and a miss from Anderson. Duncanson's in on goal again. Bailey made the save. Crane on the follow-up. And Bailey once again was there to deny at the second time of asking. And almost something out of nothing there for Perth. Complete miscue off the outside of the boot from Anderson. Duncanson in on goal. She just couldn't quite steer it either side of the goalkeeper. In fact, it was a low right hand from Bailey, which got behind the ball. So that might actually go down as a better save than I first thought. Flannery couldn't get past the challenge of Longmore on that occasion. Ball will skip away. Duncanson will go over to take the throw. Worth mentioning that if we are level at full time, we will go straight to penalties to decide who makes the Women's State Cup final in September. Bailey's clearance only as far as Flannery. Diving in again was Anderson, and Cassidy was there to mop up. Tana won the ball off Crane. She was then fouled by the former Perth Glory playmaker. Free kick here for NTC in a decent crossing position. Johnston's low ball in. Crane's clearance almost broke for Archibald. No foul then on Crane as she tried to burst clear. Johnston's long ranger was then grabbed by Bennett, and she'll try and set visitors on their way again. So wind just continuing to blow a gale here. Thankfully, we have avoided rain so far, but this forecast. Bailey's clearance. Pass picked off by Flannery. Danger signs again for NTC. Duncanson over the bar. And once again, NTC's really the cause of their own problems out of the back. There's a couple of occasions now where the ball has been cleared straight to Flannery and a bit of a lucky escape. Godding switch of the play. Dangerous. Longmore intercepting. Now Lala. She had Archibald alongside her, but Marshall, I think it was tracking her the whole way back. Lincoln stolen by Cassidy. Hooks wants her goalkeeper to come and claim, and the goalkeeper just got there in the nick of time with Lala on the scene. Now the long clearance forward will skip away from Duncanson. Scorer of that first half goal. She's actually the leading scorer in this fixture in the NPLWA Women's era. 6 goals now. Crane. Lost her footing. So too did Flannery. She tried to sneak in behind. NTC tried to surge clear, but Collins ran into Crane. The decision will go NTC's way in the form of a free kick just behind halfway. Hooks' touch, a little loose. Lala, past 1, past 2. Tanika Lala into the box, striking just into that side netting. Did everything right, but the finish did Tanika Lala. She makes it look so easy when she can get the ball to her feet and breeze past opponents like that. Just on this occasion, ball was going slightly away from her and she wasn't able to wrap her foot around it. Meanwhile, Duncanson fed through for Flannery, but her touch was a little heavy and allowed Cuthbert to steal in. So a little pause in play temporarily. Judy Connolly is the latest to come off the pitch. Perth now playing with one less. Tana, stolen ahead of Henderson. Has Archibald alongside her. She tried to find Lala. Hooks Nicely positioned. Lala got past Henderson, trying to get to the byline, pulling across goal. Archibald straight at Bennett. And either side of the goalkeeper, and that probably would have been 3-2 from that distance. Mayor Archibald, who netted in the cup game against UWA, nearly on the score sheet again. The home team almost capitalising on a player's advantage with Connolly off the grounds. So, around an hour played. Hyundai NTC 2, Perth 2. Grace Johnston's goal early in this second half, making it 2 apiece after Perth had led at the interval through goals scored by Lincoln and Duncanson following Tanika Lala's early opener. The game is beautifully poised going into the final half hour or so. Bailey once again slipping on the surface. Henderson stepped in. Hooks. Godding. Flannery. Now Lincoln. Tried the switch for Duncanson. Crane might still be able to get it out there and does. Duncanson was offside though. Anderson. Lala trying to help it on. Hooks will go all the way back to a goalkeeper. Bennett opted with the distance option rather than the short to Godding, and out that goes for a throw, pretty much on halfway. And with this break in play, NTC will use the opportunity to make a substitute for the first time tonight. We're going to see Iskia Brooking enter the fray in place of Mayor Archibald. Brooking, one of the stars of the future here in WA. Heavily involved with the Junior Matildas. Knows all about scoring goals in big games already, even at her young age. She scored in the Top 4 Cup semi-final last season down at Hilton Park against Fremantle City. Marshall's touch may stay alive for Longmore, who opted to... I thought she opted to step over the ball, but the last touch was actually off the NTC player, and Perth get it back. And just off your picture, Judy Connolly has been waved back on, so both teams back at their full complement of 11 again. Here she is now, Connolly. Lincoln tried to help forward for the run of Flannery. Now Brooking. She's got Crane for company. Duncanson inboard. Lincoln. Right in the centre of E&D Leaders Stadium. Looks wide for Crane. Brooking trying to stand her up and shield her away from goal. Connolly's pass missed Henderson. She got it back though. Now Poppy Hooks will look across for Monique Godding, who is just back from holidays. Started 2 games in the space of 4 days. Certainly all hands to the pump for visitors tonight and throughout the back half of the season. Connolly dispossessed. Lala. Strike. Stung the palms of Bennett, but she was able to gather the second time of asking. Might remember these two also met in a night game back in last season's preliminary final, which was held on a Wednesday night. NTC winning that in extra time with a Tanika Lala goal. No extra time tonight, of course, straight to penalties, but Lala shaping up certainly as a prominent figure in terms of her side's hopes of advancing tonight. Perth have got to throw deep in NTC territory, which Henderson will throw in. Touch was off Cuthbert, and Perth will now get the corner. So Duncanson's corner aimed in. Lala should be able to clear and does. Godding's got a little bit of time to figure things out. Brookings trying to launch a press on Marshall though. Off the outside of Henderson's boot and out of play it goes. NTC have never qualified for a Women's State Cup final before. In fact, this is the furthest they've been in the competition, at least in the NPL Women's era anyway. Perth, meanwhile, looking to make it back-to-back appearances. Of course, they were defeated finalists in 2022. 2-1 loss to arch nemesis Red Star at Inglewood Stadium with the late Jay Coleman goal. Ball forward is looking for Tana, who was offside. Henderson with a bit of composure at the back. Last touch was off Henderson. Godding was able to keep it alive. Henderson wants more. Which way will this go? It'll go NTC's way. So after a exuberant game on the whole, we've just settled into a little bit of a holding pattern of late. Perhaps both teams' understanding of the situation at hand. Not wanting to make a mistake. Crane did really well to manufacture a cross, and she won a corner. So every black and gold shirt in the defending penalty area for NTC. Lincoln with the left-footed take. It stood up towards the penalty spot. Hooks was leaping. Danger not dealt with at the moment. Bit of a scramble in defence. NTC are able to work it clear eventually. Meanwhile, the switch of the play might give Longmore something to be interested in. The teammate ahead of us, Brooking. Marshall spinning wide. Hooks will look up the line. And she was happy to play off Brooking. Brooking. Slid a pass across to Johnston. Collins went through Tana. Worked out okay. Lala. Tana continued her run. Pass was just a little too hot for her to reel in. Cassidy with calmness. Crane was on the scene. Cuthbert was looking up the line. She opted to turn inboard instead. Now Nellie Johnson. Lala, lovely pass. Iskia Brooking, curling strike. Straight into the gloves of Bennett. Very capable from outside the box is Iskia Brooking, but once again Lala with a lovely layoff to set her teammate into stride. Cuthbert forward. Hooks has got Brooking and Tana to contend with. Cassidy's throw down to Cuthbert. Johnston, Titans change of passing. Cassidy's ball through will be gathered by Bennett. She tries to set Papalier on her way. Went all the way through to Connolly in the end. Duncanson just slipped and it allowed Cuthbert to step in. Tana did well to nick it ahead of Duncanson. Lala, Brooking still going. Last line was Hooks. Connolly for Henderson. Crane. Flannery tried to return it onto the former. Pass too heavy. Now Brooking with time to turn in the centre of the pitch. Lofting one forward. Bennett's clearance straight into Tana and away to safety. I just get the sense this game's on a real knife edge at the moment. Duncanson, it's a lovely pass. It was just a little bit too far in front of Lincoln, who should be able to lead the race and get there first. But Johnson, stuck to her guns. And the end result is a corner. Meanwhile, NTC will make a substitution. We're going to see Daisy Grunewald Shield come on in place of Grace Johnston. So I suspect that'll be a like for like, centre mid for centre mid. One Subiaco Jr. replacing another. Grunewald Shield, a player who joined NTC this season. A chance to make her mark in the cup in the final 14 or so minutes as the corner comes in. Bailey with a fumble at the near post. It's lofted away by Cuthbert, I think it is over there. In fact, it's Johnson. Longmore. Linesman didn't put his flag up, much to the frustration of Pete Rakic, who was right there next to him. Play continues. Lala then collided into Marshall, I think it was potentially. Can't quite see who it was that went down there. I think it's going to be an NTC free kick, so Marshall does get back to her feet now, and Cassidy will stand over the set piece. She did have a sighter in the first half, which went over the bar. She'll be hoping to get this one a little close to the target. So Cassidy over the free kick, over the wall, and it's palmed over by Bennett, who had to spring to her right. She got two gloves to it, and she was able to divert the ball away to safety. So, corner will be taken by Cassidy. In comes the delivery. It's into the side netting. Wonderful save there from Beck Bennett. She knew exactly where that was going to be put. She still had to get there, though, and deal with it in a manner of conviction. Lincoln, left it for Crane. That's not a bad idea. Gemma Crane. No foul there from Anderson, and play continues. Both players keen to get back to their feet quickly, so Henderson's clearance. Straight into Lala. Tana emerging with the ball, trying to drive between two opponents, and then she pulled back hooks as the defender trying to make her way forward. So into the final 10 minutes now. NTC 2, Perth 2. Goals from Lala and Johnston for NTC. Lincoln and Duncanson for Perth. Tommy Dolman with you on streamer.com.au, also on the Football West Facebook page and the YouTube channel as well. If we are level at 90 minutes, we will go straight to penalties tonight. No extra time. And whoever emerges, be it in regulation or after those kicks, will face Murdoch University Melville in September's State Cup final at the State Football Centre. Still plenty of time for either team to avoid the lottery of penalties, though, and win it themselves in the 90. We've actually only ever had one draw between these two teams at this venue in the NPL women's era. And that was actually all the way back in 2020 in the inaugural season. Crane did well to be able to get it wide for Flannery. The left-footed effort took a deflection. Bailey's racing across to try and prevent the corner and did well. Tana. Shouts for handball were heard by the referee. Cassidy inside. Longmore helped forward. Ball just escaped Lala. Henderson then turned into trouble. Got him with the clearance. Duncanson's got to hurry. And Tana stolen and won it back for her team. Collins sends wide for Longmore. Grenovold Shield helping it on for Iskia Brooking. Into the area she goes, down to ground. And the referee points to the penalty spot. And a big opportunity here with 5 minutes remaining for NTC to move themselves oh so close to a State Cup final appearance. Georgia Cassidy steps up and scores past Bennett. Cool, calm, and composed from the spots from the captain. And NTC take a 3-2 lead with just under 5 minutes remaining. So Perth get us underway again. Can they reply as they did in the first half, having trailed? It's a game which has really ebbed and flowed tonight, but time is looming more and more as the enemy for the Azzurri. Ball played through for Lala, who skips past the challenge of Hooks. Driving into the area. Tanika Lala, Hooks going with it for pace. And Bennett out. Bravely and boldly, and she caught the ball cleanly, but both her and Lala certainly felt the pain of that. And understandably, the physios from both teams are waved on quickly. Nothing certainly left a chance out there by either team tonight, that's for sure. Both teams, of course, back in league action this week. Perth back at home against Mum FC, and then they're back here in the league in a fortnight, or a week and a half rather, against NTC again, and then they've got Curtin at Edinburgh Oval. So a home game followed by 2 on the road. NTC, meanwhile, are weekend and midweek alternating for the next few weeks now, the back end of the season, given their cup commitment tonight and the catch-up games they have with being away on challenge. They're away against Subiaco at the weekend before being back here next Wednesday against Perth Red Star. A game in which Red Star could potentially win the title on. And then, as mentioned before, that home game against Perth Soccer Club, a replay of tonight's match in about a week and a half's time. Certainly going to be a busy schedule for Ben Anderson's team as they race to try and hold on to that 4th spot. Perth look as though they've already booked their place in the postseason competition, but they'll be disappointed to have missed out tonight as Tana goes into the book. And Perth will get a chance to send a free kick forward here. Henderson's ball was headed away by Cuthbert. Brooking allowed the ball to bounce, and that allowed Flannery to step in. Marshall. Brooking stuck with it. Cassidy took a chance, was able to squeeze the ball wide. Henderson, Duncanson, Cuthbert won the challenge. Now Tana. And Cuthbert continuing her run down the right, but Henderson read it well. Papalia. Duncanson's gone to ground. Henderson wasn't sure whether to play on or put the ball out for Duncanson to get some attention. Now belatedly the ball does go out, and 3 minutes has gone up on the 4th official's board. NTC are going to make late change here. Violet Longmore's going to depart, and I think that's Anna Powell who's hidden behind the visitors' dugout. In fact, it's Lucy O'Halloran, my apologies. So O'Halloran comes on and she'll see out the final couple of minutes of this one. Meanwhile, Lala trying to sneak in behind. Slid in on Godding. Referee, let's play continue. Hooks. Papalia trying to spot Duncanson. Tana came back from an offside position, and Perth will get the free kick. So go time now for Perth if they are to force an equaliser and find a way to get to penalties in this game. Lincoln slipping through. Flannery's got plenty of pace. She's forced wide by Cassidy, and then stepping in to help her teammate out was O'Halloran, I think it was. Flannery again, weaving a passage. Crane just lost her footing. Cuthbert's able to clear. Tana. Groenewold Shield. O'Halloran wide left. NCC know that all they've got to do now is keep the ball, but that's a loose pass. And Connolly will set Gemma Crane away. She slid in to try and get on the end of it, but Bailey was off her line with an important intervention. Connolly again. Long range effort. Oh, Bailey backpedaling and able to do just enough to turn it around the post. And now it's all hands to the pump for Perth. Everybody forward, including the goalkeeper, Rebecca Bennett. Crane's ball in. It's aimed towards Bennett, who got the header and put it just wide of the post. Would have been a remarkable finish to this game. But as it stands, it looks as though NCC are going to do enough. Bailey taking her time over the restart. Hooks will head back. Connolly will help on. Johnson will clear. Brooking on halfway. Found the feet of Lala. NCC through to the Women's State Cup final. After a thrilling encounter here at E&D Leaders Stadium. NCC winning by 3-2, coming from behind at the break to go through in a 5-goal thriller. And it was Georgia Cassidy's spot kick, which decided matters with 5 minutes to play, but Perth put in an almighty performance to put themselves into a leading position, and they almost pinched an equaliser late in the piece to force penalties when Rebecca Bennett headed wide of the post. Goals in the first half from Lala, which opened the scoring for the home side before Ella Lincoln and Jamie Duncanson put Perth up at the break. Grace Johnston scored early in the second half to make it 2-2, and then Cassidy's late intervention ensured that NTC would go through to September's Women's State Cup final, where they will face Murdoch University Melville at the State Football Centre. So that's a wrap here from a cold and wet and windy E&D Leaders Stadium. Thank you so much for joining us tonight on streamer.com.au and on the Football West Facebook page. I've been Tommy Dolman, and we'll see you back at the weekend for some more MPLWA women's action. Good night.